Hi guys, welcome back to the Everything College Football podcast. Today we're going to be breaking down the NY6 games that includes the playoff matchups we have. We have a nice slate of games, but we're going to jump into the Cotton Bowl, Oklahoma and Florida. They've only met once prior, and that was the 2009 National Championship won by Florida. Two key departures are Oklahoma's Trey Brown and Kyle Pitts for Florida. They're both out for this game. What kind of impact do you think that's going to have, Rowdy, and who do you think loses more?
Well, that's definitely Florida. Kyle Pitts is – I was having this discussion last night with one of my buddies that Kyle Pitts might be one of the best tight end prospects I personally have ever seen. Granted, I'm a young guy. I haven't seen a whole lot of guys in the older ages, but in recent memory, I mean, there's not a lot of guys that you can line up on the outside like Pitts and him beat somebody deep. Trey Brown, I mean, that's nice because, Pitts is going to be out. I guess it cancels it out with Trey Brown for Oklahoma. That's not going to be good considering their secondary is it's we touched on it on the last one. It's improved, but it's still a liability.
Yeah, Oklahoma's secondary that kind of collapsed in the second half, gave up a number of big drives the Iowa State in that second half, as did their offense. I don't think that's gonna stick. I think Oklahoma's gonna have a much better matchup against a Florida defense that was just torched by Alabama, 600 yards. It's kind of what we expected, but they almost gave up 60 points. And, this offense is also quite versatile.
Yeah, that's where I have Florida messing up. I don't think Florida will lose this game, but I do think that if they were to lose, it will mostly be on the defense, just like it was against Alabama, because Kyle Trask, he had an amazing game. And I think he'll also have another field day against the OU secondary, but I think if anything, this has the potential to be more of a shootout than a blowout in Florida's favor. But that's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and Dan Mullen, he implemented some QB run from Trask. We hadn't seen that all year, and that really helped the Florida rushing attack. He ended the game with zero yards because of sacks, but that really helped. I think we're going to have to see some more of that, but I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball, especially against this stout Oklahoma front.
Yeah, I agree. And you said that it helped the Trask and the QB runs. They helped, and we were talking about that in the last podcast. Florida, they've struggled to run the ball, and that's one thing that Oklahoma needs to do is continuously make sure to force Florida to be one-dimensional. Although that dimension may be their best facet offensively, it's still something that they need to contain the run and force to be strictly pass.
Yeah, Oklahoma ranked third in rush defense. They looked, pretty good against Breece Hall and Iowa State on Saturday or last Saturday, so I don't think, I think the same sticks. Trask is going to have to, pretty much carry this offense. And without Pitts, that's just going to be too much to overcome.
They've still got, Trevon Grimes. He had an amazing grab over Patrick Surtain, in my opinion. I don't know if it was a Sports Center top 10, but that was an amazing grab. A few other guys out there other than Pitts that I don't think Florida should be too worried, although you can expect Keon Zipper to possibly get some more reps. He's one of their commits back from 2019. He's a 4-star guy. So I think if Keon can fill in there, then I think Florida offensively will be fine.
Yeah, having that dimension from your offense down the middle of the field, it's just, that's a big loss. I think they can overcome it, though. They have plenty of depth, not exactly at tight end, but at receiver. They have plenty of guys they can dish it out to. But I think it's going to hurt with effectiveness, in the passing game just a little bit.
Yeah, I think it'll do some, but I don't think it'll be enough to, have Oklahoma win against Florida.
Yeah, Oklahoma, their defense, 3 sacks, 3 picks against Iowa State. Brock Purdy didn't make a lot of great decisions, but, nonetheless, they came down with 3 interceptions. They had some good balance on offense, until that second half. They only had 3 points, but the return of Stevenson, it continues to bolster the offense. Rattler continues to just impress, I think we're going to see a lot of points in this. I think we're going to see some good defensive plays as well. Both teams ranked top 6 nationally in sacks. So I think we're going to see some good plays on both sides of the ball. But I got Oklahoma 38-35. How do you view your prediction?
Well, I'm a fan of Oklahoma, but I'm gonna go Florida here. 42, Oklahoma 34.
Yeah, I think we're both pretty content with this being a shootout. So yeah, that's our pick on that one. Moving to the Sugar Bowl, Cincinnati and Georgia. They've only played twice in history, 1942 and 1976. So, we haven't seen these teams, play in, 60-some years or whatever. But Cincinnati has a real elite defense. They've only given up 310 yards per game. They held Army, Memphis, and SMU all in check, less than 320 yards each. And UCF also struggles. So, how do you see this defense against a good Georgia offense?
I see them struggling, definitely, because of the competition standpoint, they haven't played anybody like Georgia's quarterback. They haven't played anybody like their receiver trio of Jackson, Burton, and Pickens. I don't think they'll be horrible, but that's definitely something that they're going to be tested on, especially their secondary, the run game. James Cook needs to get a little bit more active, but I think their defense, I think they're a strong defense, and I'm looking forward to see how they do against the SEC powerhouse, Georgia.
Yeah, for sure. In this defense, they're ready to welcome the challenge. It's a veteran unit. They had 16 interceptions last year. They're second this year. They're 15th in pass defense. And, they held UCF to 359 yards on 84 plays. They've been up to the challenge every single game they've played this year. The Georgia defense, though, is just a different challenge, mainly because of the rise in talent. They're averaging almost 500 yards a game and 42 points with JT Daniels since he's took over. That also allows them to run the ball. The balance has just been, it's really impressive. And it's unfortunate we haven't been able to see it all season long, but right now it's really tough to contain.
Yeah, you alluded to it. Since JT Daniels has been the quarterback, they've looked like an entirely different team. So it's kind of hard to say, hey, where would this Georgia team be at if JT was there from the beginning? But I'm looking forward to seeing the other guy taking snaps for Cincinnati, Desmond Ridder. I think Ridder is going to be – he's a little bit different than what some of Georgia have seen this year. I think he's one of the most elusive quarterbacks they'll play this year. And I'm looking forward to see how he can handle a top secondary against Tyson Campbell and Eric Stokes.
Yeah,
because those are both very good corners.
Yeah, for sure. Desmond Ridder, the question is, can he deliver the same consistency versus this Georgia defense? Because the offense runs through him. He accounts for over 300 yards a game. He's a very effective runner, has 600-plus yards on the ground and 12 scores. The offense really starts and ends with him, and how he will perform in this game is really going to decide this one.
I agree with you there. And like I said, if he can manipulate the Georgia secondary, because they're very good, but they can also have very lackluster moments. I think Ridder, if he has a good game against Georgia, this will not only prove that Cincinnati could be here to stay as a non-Power 5. They could be better than UCF, in my God's honest opinion. But Ridder, it could also help his draft stock. And I don't know if he'll declare this year or if he's eligible. But in the next coming years, he will probably see his draft stock rise.
Yeah, and to touch on what you said about the Georgia secondary, MSU had 300-plus a few weeks ago. The Georgia secondary hasn't been, great. It's kind of struggled this season, So, I think the Cincinnati offense, they're going to have more success than people will think because, Georgia's ranked first for the second year in a row in rushing defense. And Cincinnati's built to run the ball, 225 yards a game. That's their identities. They run the ball, but I think they're going to, have some, they're going to have some success with the misdirection, some sweeps. The QB run is a big part of their offense. I think they're going to, have, 100, 150 yards running the ball, which, allows them to open it up a little bit and find their targets downfield.
Since he's a fast-paced team and Georgia is more of the ground and pound, or defensively, they're more of a, wrap them up. I don't think they're going to be as fast sideline to sideline as Cincy will. But like you said, Georgia's got the number one run defense like they have the past 2 years. They've always been very stout up front. So we'll see if they can shut it down. Then I'll be looking forward to see what Ridder can do in a one-dimensional offense.
Yeah, that's going to be something fun to watch. I think another thing that's going to be something to watch is, against JT Daniels. I think it's the best one he's going to have played during his time at Georgia. Kobe Bryant, Ahmad Gardner, Derek Forrest. They're all playmakers. You also have Myjah Sanders coming off the edge. I went to high school with him, a long, lengthy guy, always making plays in the backfield. I think this defense can come, and I think they're going to come to play,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Georgia, like you said, defense, that's one of their main – that's what they've been known for over the past few years. Their offense has struggled, but with JT Daniels now at the helm, they have looked like an entirely different team.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a root for Cincinnati in this game. I'm picking Georgia 24-20 because I think the Cincinnati offense, they're going to face some challenges. I do think they're going to have more success than people think, but scoring points, especially down in the red zone, is going to be a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to go with Georgia, 24-20.
I'm going to go Georgia. I'm going to go 21-17, or excuse me, 31-17.
Yeah, I don't know if this will be a blowout or not because Cincinnati, they haven't, they did good against their competition, but this is an elite rise, in competition.
Yeah.
A big challenge for them and Luke Fickell. They played Ohio State 2 years ago and they got beat 42-0. So I don't know if that's still fresh in their minds. I don't know if we'll still see the same result. It was a while ago, but I think this is gonna be a great game.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, so next we move to the playoff in Dallas. This game was moved from Pasadena to Arlington due to COVID restrictions. They'll be playing at AT&T Stadium. Alabama at AT&T Stadium, they just seem to just beat people down there.
Yeah, they like that place. They do like Jerry's World. So, but like you said, starting with Alabama, I mean, there's not a whole much to say. There's not a whole lot to say there. But mostly offensively, they are going to have fun. I think they're going to have fun offensively.
Yeah, for sure. Their defense hasn't been. It struggled against Clemson. It's really struggled against the Clemson twice. To defend the pass. They looked better against Boston College and UNC, but the Bama attack. They're 350 yards a game through the air, and if you're capable of slowing down Harris, which they are, and Leonard Dickerson is out, or he's not expected to play, rather, maybe you can gain an edge on the interior. They're going to have to slow down the run because that's the best chance to slow down the pass, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Indy is a run-first team. They have really good. I mean, Kyron Williams. Can Alabama contain Kyron Williams? We'll see. But Kyron he's been a great player for Notre Dame, and it's all going to come down to like if Alabama can contain the run, and I think it can be the same thing, vice versa for Notre Dame because Notre Dame has a good run defense. Are they going to contain Najee? Will it matter if they can contain Najee Harris because they've got Mac Jones and they've got a stellar wide receiver core? There's a lot of different ways that this game could go, but I think they're all going to go in Alabama's favor.
Yeah, and Notre Dame, I think the one edge they really have is up front on the offensive line. It's been a great unit for them this year. They're really going to have to put the ball behind them and try to move the ball, running.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they can. Alabama, they got shredded against Florida against the pass, but Ian Book in this offense isn't exactly built to just throw for 400 yards.
Yeah, I don't see Ian Book throwing 400 yards. I mean, I'm not saying that he can't do it because I like Ian Book. I think he's progressed really well at Notre Dame. I don't think he's going to be the guy to throw 400 yards, especially on Alabama. That's more of a guy like Kyle Trask, and he did that. I mean, we saw what he did. He had a great game, and I think he could exploit the Alabama corners just like Trask and the Florida wide receivers did, especially because Notre Dame has so many big-bodied wide receivers.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame's going to do better on offense than people think. I think they're going to have some balance and stuff, but I mean, it doesn't matter. They got shredded for almost 600 yards against Clemson, and the balance really hurt them. And Alabama, they bring plenty of that to the table.
Yeah, there's another mismatch I could say is Notre Dame. They have a really good tight end. I think it's Michael Mayer. He's really good. I think Alabama did pretty decent of containing Pitts. I wasn't able to watch the entire game, so I could be wrong on that. But I'm looking forward to see how Michael Mayer does, or Mayer, excuse me for butchering his name. But I'm looking forward to see how he can do, especially because he's a younger tight end. See how he can do against an SEC caliber defense.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts actually ended up having like 120 plus yards.
Okay.
And the Notre Dame tight ends, they're really good. They're not they don't have the same skill set as Pitts, but these guys are tough. They can catch the ball. They can block. They're extraordinary at doing that. So, I think it's a really good offense. People think this is just going to be a blowout. I think we can actually continue to learn more about Alabama, especially after their defense, was torched in the last game.
Yeah, well, Dalton, you say some people think it's going to be a blowout. I am in that boat. I'm going to go with Alabama 45, Notre Dame 15.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame can. I keep saying I think Notre Dame can keep it closer because when they play the brand of football that they want to play, they can beat anybody. But I don't think they're going to be able to do that. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up. Alabama, I'll take them. 54-28.
Sounds like
Moving along to the Fiesta Bowl, Oregon, Iowa State. There isn't much on this game, I don't think. Oregon's offense really struggled against USC. They had 3 short fields that really assisted them. They only had 243 yards for the game, and they're playing a much tougher defense. How do you see this game going?
I see it going in Oregon's favor. I saw Iowa State not play good really at all and at a lot of times against Oklahoma. And I think if they keep those same woes up against Oregon, they're going to be in a pickle because Oregon's got a great defense. Their offense is sporadic, and that could be what finds Oregon in trouble.
Yeah, I don't want people to, jump the gun on Oregon's defense. Kavon was unblockable, and I think Matt Campbell's going to have a plan in place to sort of contain him. And they did good against USC, but USC they kind of continued the trend of not playing their best ball all season long. And, Oregon's defense has been torched by balance this season, and Iowa State brings plenty of that to the table. And I think that's really just the deciding factor. I don't want people to overlook the entire season just on the USC game,
Right.
team that just throws the ball and didn't have their best performance through the air. I think the balance is just going to be too much for them in this game.
Yeah, and Tyler Shaw needs to be better because he had a few turnovers against USC, and I don't think he can tolerate those against Iowa State because Iowa State can and will convert on those turnovers, and that could be an issue for Tyler Shaw as he hasn't really looked great all season.
Yeah, for sure. The offense, they had plenty of favorites in that USC game. They're playing a much tougher defense, in my opinion, front seven-wise, So I think, I have Iowa State 31-20 in this one. I just don't think the Oregon offense is really going to be able to manufacture any consistency.
I'm going to go Oregon in a close one. I'm going to go 23-20 in this one.
23-20, I think a defensive battle would be nice. You don't really see many of those in college football nowadays.
Yeah, exactly, especially this year.
Yeah, we moved to the Sugar Bowl. Iowa State, they kind of just got done with a bit of a defensive battle. They torched Northwestern on the ground for, Trey Sermon had 331 yards or something like that, against a really good front seven of Northwestern. So that was kind of impressive. Do you see the same carrying over against Clemson?
With Ohio State?
Yeah.
I don't know because Ohio State's run game has been kind of inefficient. I don't know. We'll see, though. I think mostly with the biggest deal with Ohio State, it centers around Justin Fields. He needs to be efficient, because he has not been efficient the past few games.
Yeah, Ohio State, their defense kind of got bailed out by some mistakes by Northwestern. That's not a very good offense, and they just continued going up and down the field. They didn't have the points to show for it, but they really hurt that defense. Justin Fields, he really has struggled the last three games. Doesn't really concern me because we know he's capable of, and getting Chris Olive back that's a big help. But the conversation is over on OSU if OSU deserves a spot or not, because we kind of feel that they can play with anybody, especially on offense.
I think Ohio State, I'm going to say it right now, they are my national champion. That's who I'm projecting to win. I think Justin Fields is going to, because I think this is a team that is pissed off about last year because they've got a lot of guys. Justin Fields, he is probably the biggest guy that is frustrated because a lot of fingers were pointed at him whenever they lost against Clemson last year. So I think the offense everyone on Ohio State needs to be top notch. They need to be ready to go because Clemson's going to be ready. They hear the talk from Dabo Swinney thinking that they shouldn't be in there. But I think we'll see if either the talk is Dabo's going to get silenced or he's just going to keep talking and prove his point.
Yeah, I sort of feel some bad blood in this. Dabo ranked Ohio State 11th in the coaches poll. That signals, I think, some bad blood here, and I think Clemson's going to want to go out and prove a statement. Ohio State feels the same way because they hear the chatter as well that they don't belong here and all this and that. What exactly, if you're leaning Ohio State, what exactly would you be looking for that gives them the edge over Clemson?
I don't know because Clemson, they're not easy to beat. In a lot of facets. I'm going to go, honestly, I don't know. I'm going to go front seven. I think Ohio State's front seven needs to be efficient and they need to contain ETN or whoever is in the backfield. They need to watch for the short and intermediate routes because Trevor Lawrence, and they need to watch for Trevor Lawrence as well. Trevor Lawrence showed an entirely different facet of his game in the playoff last year where, he ran for over about 100 yards. No, everyone was like, "Oh, okay, Trevor, he can run the ball a little bit." He was running stride for stride with some of the fastest guys that Ohio State has. And I think this game is going to get a little chippy. That's what I think. I think this game is going to get really chippy between both teams, and that is that's going to definitely happen.
Yeah, for sure. Ohio State, their defensive line, the safeties haven't been great this season in the secondary. But one thing about Ohio State is up front, they've gauged good penetration. So that's a big edge for them.
The biggest issue for Ohio State will be the secondary because the secondary has not. I think they kind of regressed a little bit. They got Seven Banks back, but he hasn't really. Or excuse me, Sean Wade. Seven Banks hasn't really progressed as much like you'd like to see. Same with Sean Wade, although he was more of a nickel guy last year. So with him playing outside, he's not really succeeding as much. And Clemson has the receivers that can make anyone pay. So that secondary can't give up the big play.
Yeah, for sure. The big passing attack for Clemson downfield, that's just, been their MO on offense, flipping script to their defense, Trey Sermon, just broke the Ohio State record, but the Clemson defensive line is a different story. The front seven as a whole, they get James Skalski and Tyler Davis back. They didn't, they didn't play. They were big in the game against Notre Dame, the rematch. They missed the November game. That was one of 2 games this year they've given up 400 yards. I think this defense is going to come out with an edge.
Yeah, I think both defenses, both teams will be ready. I'm not expecting to really see points get on the board right off the bat. I would say maybe a defensive slugfest through the first quarter. I think it's going to take both teams a little bit more, if anything, Ohio State a little bit more to get going. But I think the defensive edge is definitely at Clemson. But their secondary, I mean, just like we were talking about, Ohio State secondary could be a liability. Clemson's could be as well, because Ohio State has some really good receivers. Like you said, Chris Olave is going to be back, and that's going to pose problems for the Clemson secondary.
Yeah, for sure. Ohio State, they need to be better throwing the ball. The last 3 games, they've really just been carried by their running game. 300 straight games, or 3 straight games of 300 rushing yards, rather, in Fields in this unit. They haven't, been as efficient and effective. And, it kind of throws me back to 2016 when Clemson won this game. They held them to 0 points.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State was a top 10 rushing attack. The games prior, they really struggled to throw the ball, and it caused their offense just to get stonewalled. And I feel like we could see the same here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we'll see anything. I'm gonna be honest. I don't see us see Ohio State having that big of an issue. I think if they get blown out, that'll be. Any team gets blown out in this game. I see that as very unlikely. But if it were to happen, it would probably happen to Ohio State. I just don't see Clemson getting blown out ever.
Yeah, I don't think that's something you'll ever see.
Yeah, it's hard to see. At least with Trevor Lawrence at the helm, they will not get blown out. They could lose, but they will not get blown out.
All right. With all that said, who do you have in this game? Do you have Ohio State? Seem to be higher on Ohio State than I am. Do you have them winning this game?
Yeah. I'm gonna have them winning 48-45.
Oh, you see a shootout here. Okay. Like I said, like I touched on the thing in 2016, I sort of see the same thing. They're very reliant on their running game. I think Clemson's going to have that covered up. They covered it up back in 2016. They did struggle a little bit last year, but that sort of has the same feel compared to 2016. I think this defense is very motivated. I think, these guys are going to have a plan in place. I have Clemson running away with this one, 38-14. I just don't think they're going to be able to sustain the balance that's really, made them a top 10 offense this season.
I can understand that. My final note on this ball game is another thing for Ohio State. I know I've touched on Ohio State a lot, but like I said, they're my favorite to win the national championship this year. And it starts with their X factor, Justin Fields. Like I said, I think Justin Fields, I don't want to be doubting him right now. Although he knows he hasn't played the best few games. We all know he hasn't played the best few games. He hears the talk. He knows what's going on. I think Justin Fields is going to come out here and look like an entirely different beast. Because, Fields is one of those guys. He's neck and neck up there with Lawrence. In terms of talent, probably not. No. But in terms of, the quarterback prospect, the coming out of high school, who's going to be the first and second pick? It's probably going to be Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. This game, I see Justin Fields shutting down all the Trevor talk and showing, hey, I need my respect too, because he's going to pull LeBron. I want my damn respect too, because Trevor gets all the talk. Fields has not been succeeding well. I think he's going to come out, be pissed off, and lead Ohio State to a close victory.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. Fields, can't really doubt him. He's still one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, despite some recent struggles. This is exactly the type of game where he would show up in. But, I think all the factors with the emotion, the potential bad blood between the coaches, that's usually when Alabama would rise. Well, Alabama and Clemson are in the same category. I think Clemson rises here. And I think they blow him out here.
I can see it. I can see it happening. I don't know if it will.
Yeah, I think we're in hand for a good game regardless.
Yeah.
Moving ahead to the Orange Bowl. This is an interesting matchup. Texas A&M, they're a little upset themselves that they didn't make the playoffs. Do you think they're going to come unleash everything they have against North Carolina?
I see them doing the exact opposite of what Georgia did against Texas back in 2018, where everyone said Georgia was unmotivated. I think A&M is going to be the exact opposite. They will be motivated because this is a team that's never been there before. They feel like they were robbed this year. They're not going to have the victim mindset of, oh, we were robbed. They're going to be, oh, we're robbed, so let's go and kick this next team's tail, because they feel as if they've been wronged. So they've got that chip on their shoulder. UNC doesn't.
Yeah, for sure. A&M, they're extremely upset. Kellen Mond himself, he's played a great season, only 3 interceptions. This offense has really been built around running the ball, though. And they don't exactly have a tough matchup. This offensive line's been great this season. And, I think they're going to be able to run the ball.
For A&M will be able to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think A&M, they've Aeneas Smith and Spiller, they've been really well. They've been really well this year. And, if you want to talk about running the game or running the ball, let's flip over to UNC. Because they're looking like a team that wants to run the ball now and make it their identity. If we're going to talk about the past Miami game, they ran for 500 yards in that one, and they definitely look like they want to build off of that heavy run performance against Miami and do it on A&M.
Yeah, for sure. North Carolina, this is a stellar duo of running backs. Michael Carter, Javonte Williams have over 1,100 yards each, 28 touchdowns between them. It's just absurd what they're doing. A little bit, kind of seems like Reggie Bush, Lindale White type of success on the ground. A&M, they've been great against the run, though. They're ranked fourth. Slowing down this duo is the key to the entire game because UNC, they like to run the ball. They like to get into their RPO game, the play action passing. And when they do, Sam Howell's hard to stop.
Yeah, Sam Howell is one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football, and next year could be a favorite for the Heisman. So and A&M has a pretty decent secondary. I'm looking forward to see how Howell handles the once again, changing conferences here. They're going to go against one of the best teams that the SEC has to offer, either their second or best team or whatnot. So I'm looking forward to see how Howell can do against a pretty good secondary and a good pass rush for A&M.
Yeah, A&M, I don't know if I already mentioned, they're fourth against the run. The competition hasn't been great, but I think North Carolina can spark some big plays. They gave up 196 to Auburn. That was probably the best, 196 on the ground, rather. So I don't think North Carolina's going to have 500 yards like they did against Miami. I do think they're going to have some big spark plays that allows them to do what they want offensively.
I absolutely agree. I agree. They're not going to have that major performance like they did, but they'll have those nice chunk plays, get something going, tempo, and that's where Sam Howell and that UNC offense, Mac Brown, he succeeds when they go really good tempo. They succeed off the chunk plays, and so I think they'll get a few of those against A&M. Although I don't know if it's going to be enough to get them to win.
Yeah, I think, because UNC, their defense has been a liability this season. They have a tough matchup. I think they're going to try and load the box to try to slow down the run. They're going to make Kellen Mond try to beat him with his arm. And Kellen Mond's angry. He's shown before that he can he can shine against great competition. This defense isn't, exactly, it's average competition. So I think we're honestly in for a shootout, despite everything we've heard about A&M's defense. They're the two best offenses they played this year. They gave up, big yards and big points to Alabama and Florida. It was a while ago, but I think that we're going to see a shootout in this one, honestly.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see Mond. Mond is a quarterback that you want on your team. He may not be the most talented, but the guy is a leader. He's well coached. He's able to be coached. That's like an underrated quality in a quarterback is, can he be coached? Can he accept the coaching? And he's made the changes. Jimbo Fisher, he's a quarterback whisperer in a way, and he's transformed Mond a lot more than what a lot of people had expectations for him, because in his first year he didn't look good, and I think this year he's wanting to get a New Year's 6 win under his belt.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like this game might determine if Mond comes back for a senior season or not. I think if they go out and win convincingly, they're going to be like, we're going to come back, make a playoff run. If they maybe lose, big time, they're going to come back and be like, we want redemption. If Kellen Mond can return next year, I think he will. But, I think North Carolina is going to win this game 34-30.
Yeah, the talk about Mond, I personally see Mond staying. I think this year they have enough top quarterbacks. I think Mond would just fall behind everyone and kind of get forgotten about. I personally think it would be smart if Mond were to stay another year, regardless, win or lose. But I got A&M in this one. I'm going to go 38-24.
Yeah, I think this is probably going to be the best out of the New Year's 6 bowls. I think we have a good slate of games. I think this is probably going to be the best one down in Miami. Which game do you think is the best one?
I'm going to go Clemson, Ohio State. That one is going to be one that I'm going to be watching all day, or watching, doing a lot of looks on, just paying attention to. That's my favorite matchup, because, of course, that's my pick for the national championship. And going against Clemson, I mean, they're always fun to watch in the playoff, so you can't really not watch them. But that's my favorite game.
Yeah, we'll break down the national championship game when it's, set in stone and before it gets here. But since you dished out yours, I'll go ahead and dish out. I have Clemson winning the national championship. Trevor Lawrence, 34-1 as a starter. His only loss is the, arguably the greatest college team of all time.
Okay.
I think we're going to see Clemson and Alabama again in the national title, and I think that's going to be a shootout. And I have Clemson on top. We'll break it down when it gets here, but I have Clemson as the national champion.
Okay.
And you have Ohio State. So.
All right.
Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in. A bit of a long podcast here today. We broke down all the NY6 games. A lot of information for you guys to digest. We think we're in for a great slate of games, and see you in the next episode. Thank you for having you on, Rowdy.
Thank you.
Yep. Everyone have a good day.